Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stefan's podcast, the podcast for everything Japanese news, Japanese myths. If it's about Japan, it's in here, and a little bit of what's going on in this silly goose's life. This is the podcast for that, and we've got some great Japanese news for you, so let's jump straight into it. So if you've been to Japan or you live in Japan, you might have been invited to a Japanese wedding. Part of me wishes you never do, because if you come to a Japanese wedding, it doesn't matter if you're the brother of someone, it doesn't matter if you're the friend, it doesn't matter if you're like the second, fourth cousin removed, you have to give them a crazy gift. You have to give them cash, and the minimum that you have to give is 30,000 yen. The reason why supposedly you're meant to give this is because it's an odd number and it can't be split apart evenly. Well, it can 2 15s, but anyway, I don't quite understand the logic, but Japanese logic says that you have to give a minimum of 30,000 yen to the people who are getting married as a gift, and it's meant to be this special odd number that can't be divided evenly. I don't understand it, but hey ho, it is ridiculously expensive, and people under 30 have come out to said that it's too expensive. A survey was recently done, and it said that a whopping 64.3% of people said yes, it's too expensive to give 30,000 yen. And I have to say, I know some people here, I have friends who are Japanese, and they keep saying to me this weekend, oh, I'm going to this wedding, I'm going to that wedding. And I always think, oh man, that's going to cost you so much. I mean, 30,000 yen, bearing in mind 30,000 yen when I first moved here, I know the exchange rate has gone up a lot recently, but when I first moved here, that's £210. That's how much it would have been. So every single person who's getting married, you'd have to give them £210. Probably here you'd have to round it up to £300 to make it even, but you'd have to give them £300. Plus, obviously, you have to get to the wedding, you have to wear your suit, maybe you've got the stag do, whatever. Oh, good lord, it's so expensive. And they actually have this saying that when you have a wedding, you invite your best friends and you invite your worst enemies just so that they can give you money. And I tell you what, if I was getting married here in Japan, oh, you better believe I'm inviting every single person I know. I'm going to the Toshima newsletter and putting, Stefan is getting married. Whole of the island is invited. Come on down. Every single one of you. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. What a cash flow. So we got some other news that's been going on here. Oh, we got a couple of sad ones. So let's get this one out of the way. This is about people in Japan living lonely lives. So it's found that around 70,000 people a year die alone in Japan. And what that means is 70,000 people are dying what they call lonely deaths, which is when you die and your body isn't discovered until, weeks later, like your landlord wants to collect the rent or something, and then he comes around and realizes you're dead, that you have no friends whatsoever. Really sad. And when I see these stories, I sometimes think, everyone is trying to live longer. We're constantly trying to do our health, make ourselves live to 100, 200. And then you see stories like this and you're like, is it worth it? Are you going to live a lonely life? Is that what happens? You get to this age plus 90 and then, the quality of your life isn't good. You've got no one around. If you have kids, they've all got their own lives. They've maybe moved to Japan like me. Sorry, mum and dad. Sorry, nan. But you go and live your own life. You do your own thing and then you're just left alone. Real sad. And they're talking about ways that they can come over this and fix it. I saw one person said maybe someone should give them all pets, and I was like, what's the pet gonna do? That's when you hear the stories of the pet eating them after they're died. Ugh, real sad stories, these solitary deaths. How do you fix it? The truth is, I don't know, but it's an interesting story nonetheless, that so many people here are dying what they call lonely deaths. I don't want that. I don't wish that on anyone. Ugh, sad, very sad, but interesting nonetheless. But here's a cool news story. In Japan, the home of judo, obviously they invented judo. I did judo for about a year, a year, 2 years. I broke my foot in between, so I didn't really get to do it for as long as I wanted, but I managed to get to a yellow belt. Fun sport. When I found out I was moving to Japan, I was very excited to actually practice judo here, but I moved to Tsushima, the only place without a judo club on the whole island. Very, 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 very sad. But there is a brother and sister duo who are from Japan who both won Olympic golds in the last Olympics. And when I was reading this story, I was amazed that, first of all, to have one person from the family who's that good at judo that they can win a gold, but to have two, that is just a fantastic feat. And apparently they're going to compete in the Paris Games, and I wish them both the best. I hope that they can bring home gold for Japan. That would be absolutely fantastic. They compete in, obviously, one's a boy, one's a girl, brother, sister. One competes in the 66 kilos weight limit, and the woman competes in the 52 kilos weight limits. So good luck. That's going to be very, very difficult. Those are some tough weight limits. 66 kilo is probably, I imagine if I was an Olympian, I would be in that 66 kilo weight limit, because when I was at university, I managed to get myself down to 60 kilos, and that was a working out a lot one, but I imagine if I was competing, probably put on some muscle, I don't know, but 66 kilos, he'd definitely beat me in judo, I can tell you that. Good luck to them. Good luck to them both. I want them to both bring home gold for Japan, because that's very, very, very cool. A brother and sister duo in judo. Okay, next one. Oh, this was a crazy story I was reading today. This was reported in the old Japan Today, or is it Japan Yesterday now? Because today is yesterday. I don't know. But anyway, Japan Today. Said that 77% of Japan's COVID oral drugs are set to be destroyed. And that says, they've expired, they haven't been used. And I just saw this and went, wow, some people have made an absolute fortune from COVID, haven't they? All of these drugs that have been sold that haven't been used. I mean, you remember, if you're from the UK, they had stories of the vaccines expiring or being taken out and not being used. And it's just madness. So they also said that Japan has already disposed of 240 million COVID-19 vaccines after signing contracts for 930 millions of shots, later cancelling some. And I can guarantee you they probably paid a fee for that, some sort of cancellation fee, because they made it. These drugs companies have made just an absolute fortune off COVID. They really have. And you look around, I was at work today and we had this temperature. You might have seen them if you've been to Japan, or if you've been to an airport or a port. They had like this TV screen with a camera in, and it would measure your temperature. These things were wildly inaccurate, just super, super inaccurate. I don't know who decided that these were a good idea. I remember when the COVID first happened, me and my dad, we went to, I think it was a restaurant or a bar or something together, and they measured them with a gun or some sort of temperature thing, and it came up saying like 35 degrees centigrade, and it's like, okay, that's good, that's fine, you're good to come in. And then you go and Google it, and the temperature is like, if you have this body temperature, you must seek immediate help. You've got hypothermia and you're dying. And me and my dad were just like, well, these things are just useless. What's the point in them? But there we go. COVID is thankfully, hopefully over now. We're starting to see the end of it. It's nice you can go to most places now, and I don't think there are any COVID restrictions. I went to Busan a couple of weeks ago. Nothing there. You can come into Japan without any restrictions. I don't know what China's like. Maybe you still have to give some vaccines for China. I'm not really sure. But as far as I'm aware, everything's pretty much back to normal, apart from the sad, sad memories of it. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of UK news, just because I thought this was a crazy, crazy statistic. So Taylor Swift is apparently coming to the UK, and she's doing a tour. And I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. I played some of her songs when I was at the radio for a little bit. But I cannot believe how much people are going to spend for Taylor Swift. The news story has reported that Taylor Swift coming to the UK is going to increase UK spending by £1 billion. That is madness. I mean, concerts have always been getting out of hand ever since I was younger. I mean, when I didn't go to many concerts, but I went to Glastonbury a couple of times, and every year that was just getting more and more and more expensive, and the price was just getting out of hand. But for tickets for Taylor Swift, apparently the average price of a ticket is ridiculous. So the average price of just tickets that people are spending are apparently £206 is the cost of the average ticket, with 14% of fans spending more than £400 on perks, VIP tickets, packages, special shirts, whatever. It's going to cost people, and this sounds right for the ridiculous amount of trains that I remember going around. Travel costs will apparently cost people £111. This is reported by the BBC. And on average, people are going to spend about £120 on accommodation. Wow. So you add that all up, that is a lot of money. No wonder it's getting into £1 billion. Taylor Swift. Wow. Thank you for coming to the UK, and thank you for making us spend your money. I wonder how much she is going to get from that herself. I bet you it is not enough, considering she is doing all this hard work. Whew. Taylor Swift, a banker's best friend. Whoa. So here's some Japan has this weird relationship with tourists at the moment. I think a lot of cities and a lot of towns have it as well. They really want us to come here, but they don't want you to come here. And they're in this weird space at the moment. You've heard stories in Kyoto about the governments there banning tourists from certain streets. There's now been a few restaurants and bars that are charging extra for tourists. People have always done this, but they've never really done it openly, which Japan are doing now. So in one restaurant I saw, they now have an extra price if you're a tourist. They had on the thing saying Japan resident and also nationals and Japan residents pay this price. But I wonder if I walked into the bar and ate, they would 100% give me the same price as any other tourist. And I imagine a lot of people who are residents here don't have good enough Japanese to say, hey, am I paying the tourist price or am I paying the I live here price? I don't like these things. I really hate it when businesses, countries, they beg for you to come here. In COVID, all they wanted to do was people to come to Japan because they needed the business. But now it's open and they're charging everyone an absolute fortune. London has done it. London has done a lot of things. If you want to go to the airport now, to drive there, you have to pay £10. They have the congestion charge. Everything to go into London is a nightmare. I was reading for the Olympics, they're increasing the prices of the subway for 2 weeks so that they can make extra money from it. And Japan now are looking at potentially doing the things. They're looking at increasing the prices of hotels. They're looking at increasing restaurant prices, just all these other things, or trying to charge some sort of like tourist tax for coming here. And interestingly enough, I was thinking about my own time in Japan, and I live in Tsushima, which is in between Japan and Korea. I haven't actually been to the Japanese mainland since I think maybe January. It's been for 3 or 4 months, and every time I think about going, I go to Busan instead. And here's why. The cost of hotels in Busan is much cheaper than Fukuoka. Much, much, much cheaper than Fukuoka. I'm talking, I can get the same price. So I went for Golden Week and I went for 5 days. The 5-day cost in Busan was cheaper than me going to Fukuoka for 2 days on the weekend. That's how expensive it's got. Busan also, or they've either included it in the price, which I like. They don't charge a city tax. Fukuoka does, and it really bugs me when you go there just to pay a tax for staying in a hotel. A lot of countries in Europe do it. It really bugs me. And what irritates me even more about it is in some places they're not very open about it. And when you get there, so say I pay for the booking online, right? I've paid 30,000 yen, which is £200, and then I go to the location and they're like, yeah, we want an extra £1,000, which is another £6. And it's like, dude, just include it in the price. Why? If everyone has to do it, then what's the problem? It just irritates me when I get here. It creates a whole little argument thing. And quite frankly, it's just a tax that the government are getting, and it doesn't really go anywhere. It just goes to government officials who are going to waste it anyway. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in Japan with tourists, and this is another story that will make you just wonder what are Japan doing. There's a beautiful viewpoint near Mount Fuji where many tourists have been going and taking pictures of it. Apparently it's quite a tranquil spot. It looks great. It's amazing. But the people there are not happy with all the tourists coming, which, okay, I can understand. So the way that they've come up to fix this is to basically put up a huge netting so it ruins the photos and ruins the view to stop all these tourists from coming. And I'm like, so your solution to everyone coming to look at the view is to destroy the view so no one can look at it. That's not a win for everyone, is it? That's just a loss. That doesn't make any sense, Japan. If you don't want people to come here, I am more in favour of them banning tourists down that street than saying than just destroying the view. I think both options are bad, but I can understand, this is where people live. This isn't a tourist area. This is just like a town and someone's house is there. Then okay, then, ban tourists because this isn't a tourist area. This is just a residential area and it's getting too busy and we can't deal with it, or limit it somehow. I don't know, but to destroy the view with a netting doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I feel like this is a stupid thing, a very, very stupid thing. Dare I say it, Japan? This was a baka mistake. And this is another news story coming from Japan. I saw this story and it made me think of something that happened to one of my friends years and years ago. This is frontline news for Japan today. It's woman in her 80s dies en route to hospital after ambulance takes a wrong turn. This will happen to ambulance drivers, and this actually happened to a good friend of mine 20 years ago. So I had a friend, we were 10 years old, both about 10 years old, and unfortunately he died. Really, really sad story. And one of the reasons why he died, first of all, he wasn't a healthy boy anyway. He used to have really bad eczema, so bad that he used to have to wear socks on his hands every day because they would just peel, and I don't really understand what the socks did. Maybe they protected his skin, they stopped him from scratching, or the cotton was soft on them. But anyway, he had to wear them all day. He also had really bad asthma, so had to carry an inhaler around all the time. And one time he had an asthma attack, and on the way to him, the ambulance got completely lost, and it ended up taking an hour or two before they get there. Unfortunately, he passed away, and reading this story just reminded me of that. Now, this woman who was in her 80s, and she was only 13 minutes late to get into the hospital. I know 13 minutes late is a big time when you're sick, but for this story, I think, sometimes this is such a sad story, but sometimes it's going to happen. Ambulance workers are working hard enough. I will say in Japan, there's this weird thing with ambulances, which I'll get into later, but they work hard enough. Everyone who has driven anywhere has made a wrong turn before. It's very easy to do. This shouldn't be front page news. It's a very, very sad story. I feel bad for the woman who's died. I feel bad for the ambulance drivers, because you know for a fact they didn't set out to, go the wrong way. It's just, it's life. It's a sad, sad story. But there is a weird thing about ambulances here in Japan, and perhaps police in Japan. They don't seem to go. I hope I never have to get in an ambulance, because if you've been here, they drive so slowly when they have their lights on. In the UK, you see them, boom, they go. They're through red lights. They're bang, they're gone. They're straight away. They're going through traffic. Here in Japan, they drive so slowly. It's terrifying. They actually go they go the speed limit. I've never seen them exceed it. I don't think. Maybe once I've seen someone going a bit faster, but every time it's just like, come on, get a move on. In fact, I remember with the police a while ago, a police car was in front of me, and then it switched its lights on, and I remember following it for about 3-4 miles here, and just going the speed limit. Sometimes I think I've gone faster down this road. Come on, you need to speed this up if there's an emergency, or why bother putting your lights on? But hey ho, Japan is a rule unto itself. There are some great things about Japan, and then some strange things which to this day I still don't understand. I did even try and look this up once. Why do Japanese ambulances and police cars go slow? And I found one story that said, basically, we have a passenger in the back who's elderly, and we will actually do more damage going fast because we're going to shake the car around. Maybe someone's in the back doing stuff. Then we will not going the speed we're doing. So what I'm saying is, it's more dangerous for them to break the speed limit and be a little bit wobbly than it is just to go under the speed limit, which I don't know. That's their explanation. I don't entirely believe it. Maybe Japanese paramedics are better than our paramedics. I don't know, but hey ho, that was that story. I thought, okay, Japan, you've kind of explained it, but not really. So that's pretty much all of the Japanese news out of the way for today. So we're going to jump into a Japanese myth, and we're going to do a fun Japanese myth. I actually featured this story in my book because I actually think it's one of my favorite Japanese myths that since being here. And I just think the stories from it, they have so many potentials for great stories from it. Whenever I read a Japanese myth, I always think, how can I put that into a little story? I started making videos of them, and then I got sidetracked with the beauty of Japan that I need to now finish. And this myth is I'm going to butcher the name of pronouncing it because I'm terrible at pronouncing Japanese. It's no perabo. And these are generally, for the most part, they're faceless people that come to you and they give you some type of scaring. They give you some type of warning. And for the most part, they're not actually physically dangerous, but they can be very, very bad. Something bad's going to happen to you. Like, you're going to die. There's a bad myth going to happen. If you get visited by one of these things, it's very, very bad. Now, in some cases, these can actually be other creatures disguised as them. So it can be a kitsune who's playing like a joke on you. And what he'll do is sneak up behind you or something and have no face. And it will just be this blank face. You'll turn around and you'll see someone with no face. And it will make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You'll be very scared. You'll run away. You won't know what to do. They're terrible ones. But I just think these things are a lot of fun. They're great myths. Go and read some stories of them. A lot of them are about warnings. In pretty much all of the cases that I've read, they are harmless. Apart from when another animal is pretending to be them. So let's say if a kitsune, a fox with like multiple tails, is pretending to be a no parabole, that's when problems can come. They'll use it as some sort of disguise, and then bang, eaten, dead. I don't know, whatever the Japanese myths want to do, because they are very, very, very dangerous. I love the no paraboles. I think they're great fun. If you read The Beauty of Japan, or if I get far enough into The Beauty of Japan where the no parabole comes up, I actually think it's probably one of my favorite parts in the book when I wrote about that, because they're fun creatures. These faceless creatures just appear out of nowhere, terrify people, give someone some sort of message, and then leave, disappear like nothing has ever happened. And you can't, if they're a true no parabole, you can't physically hurt them. They're like a ghost, so you just like punch through them. And they have this like super speed where they can just boom, pop up here, pop up there, pop up there, pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up pretty much anywhere. So that is our myth for today. I am going to try and find for next week a myth that has a lot more information on it, and then we can really do like a deep dive into a Japanese myth and then sort of go from there. So for the final part of today's podcast, we're just going to talk about what's been going on with me. So I'll drink some water. What's been going on with me here? Been enjoying the island. The sun has finally come out. I actually managed to go snorkeling today for the second time this summer, and it's very nice to go snorkeling in May. The problem with Japan is in June we get the rainy season, and so June is almost a complete washout. There is no snorkeling to be done, and then we get into July and August when it is just almost too hot to go snorkeling, and the UV in Japan is crazy. I mean, I was outside today for like 20 minutes and I put sunscreen on, and then I was looking in the mirror and I was thinking, have I been sunburnt again today? Because it really is so easy to get sunburnt here. But the first time I went snorkeling in a long time, it was great. I saw some great fish. I saw a jellyfish, and then as I was getting in, I had my snorkeling equipment on, and I'm walking into the sea with it on, and this Korean girl comes up to me and she says, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going snorkeling." And she just goes on this like huge story. She's like, "Well, what if there's a shark?" And I was like, "Oh, I'd be very scared. Sharks are scary." And then she's like, "What if there's a whale?" And I was like, "A whale?" And then she's like, "And what if there's a dolphin?" And then she just like runs, she like lists off all these animals that I can see in the dolphin. She gets to like a penguin, and I'm like, "A penguin? I'm not going to see a penguin here." And then she says to me, "Oh, are you going to swim? Are you going to swim to? To Japan? Are you going to swim to Korea?" And I was like, "Oh, I think I might. I'm going to try." And then she's like, "Are you going to swim to China?" And then I was like, "Oh, China, I can swim to China." And then she's like, "Australia?" I'm like, "No, I can't swim to Australia, you silly goose." And then I go in swimming, but I was like, "God, so cute, so cute." It really, really made my day. One of those things that you just cannot expect happening. And I was like, "Oh, what a fun story." And really, that's it. I've just been going to work. I've been getting ready for the summer. Oh, I booked in the summer at some point. I'm going to Tokyo because my parents are coming out here, and just spent an arm and a leg on hotels and flights. I think I'm already down 130,000 yen on just flights and hotels. And I was thinking, oh, I've missed you guys. I've missed you. I haven't seen you in 2 years, but it's expensive having you here. And how I wish there was more to do in Tsushima, so it's worth you coming for 2 weeks. I think Tsushima is great for a weekend. Very good for a long weekend. If you have the opportunity to come here for a long weekend, it's brilliant. There's a lot to do. There's lots of beautiful sights. But just where I live, it's probably the most inaka place in Tsushima. It's very rural. My parents are coming out here for a vacation, for a holiday. I think after 4 or 5 days here, they'd be bored. There isn't many bars, especially in the week. It can be a little bit mixed. My favorite restaurant, I keep trying to go to it. I've been 2 times 2 times to try and eat there, and every time it's closed because Tsushima works on a time of its own. Some days it's open. Sorry for the video, sorry for it cutting out there, but my camera, sorry for it cutting out there. This will lead to an interesting story though for people in the US and possibly Japan. So the UK was part of the European Union, and they had this ridiculous law on cameras, so that video cameras get charged a higher tax rate than normal like photography cameras. And to get around this video photography law, a lot of the cameras have a cutoff after about 30 minutes or so. They will switch themselves off, they will stop recording just so they got around this tax. It's ridiculous. Sometimes I really hate this Canon camera. So I've got the Canon 700D. Sometimes it's a great camera, sometimes it's not. It's a great first video camera, I think. If someone's just getting into photography, just getting into video, it's great. There's a lot of areas it needs improvement on. One of them is the most annoying thing is that it cutting off at 30 minutes. It's so frustrating. And the other is on the touchscreen, when you go back and try and watch video, there's no way that you can scroll through the footage. So you can only go to the first frame and the last frame, which is very annoying when you're recording videos, because I want to like jump to the middle. I want to see which bit I'm in and then go from there. I really want to buy a new camera, but like I just said before the video cuts out, I just spent 130,000 yen on flight tickets to Tokyo. So no way I'm going to be getting a new camera anytime soon. In fact, I was very surprised. Luckily, my birthday is coming up, and I said to my sister, "Oh, and you need a new camera tripod?" And she was like, "I got you. Don't worry. New camera tripod coming." So I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, baby! Birthday. Birthday's amazing. I love a birthday." I'm trying to see if I can get a light from someone as well for my birthday. Fingers crossed. I think I need another light. My lighting here is very weird. The problem is I haven't got like an area where I can film in. And then I've just got a desk here and just these white walls. And sometimes, I don't know about the white walls. I don't know if they're cool. I don't know if they're weird. But you tell me, what do you think? Do you think the wall's good? Do you think it's bad? Is it cool? Should I do some lighting stuff? I don't know. I've got 2 lights here. In fact, next time I'll have a clean and I'll show you my lighting setup. I'll show you this one. This is just a desk lamp. Look, we just have a singular desk lamp there. And then the other light I have is a ring light, which I'm trying out this new thing of shooting it up, pointing it towards the roof, and that it bounces off the roof and then comes back down on me. And then I hopefully don't get the like ring light ring in my eyes. So I don't know if you can see, but for those on video, for those you can see, my eyes don't look so weird, but there we go. Anyway, I think that's the podcast for today. Thank you for watching. It's very nice to get back and do these podcasts. The name of my YouTube channel is Stefan's Podcast, although it's been taken over by just everything else. Japanese myths, what's going on here with me in shorts, some long videos. It's just becoming a real nice channel of a real mix, and I like that. And I'm very happy of trying out all the videos. I've actually managed to now put up a video almost every day for 6 months. I started on, I think it was January 8th or January 9th, and every single day a video has gone up or I have made a video. I think there's one day somewhere in February or March where I uploaded a video and I put, instead of like 12 o'clock lunchtime, I put 12 o'clock midnight. So on the YouTube analytics, when I looked, there's a day missed, but there isn't a day missed because then the next day it counts that there's 2 videos gone up. But anyway, I in my mind, I haven't missed a day at all since January 8th or 9th. So that's pretty cool. We're nearly 6 months in of making a video every single day, and I am very, very proud of that. So thank you very much for watching. Have an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are. And if you have any Japan stories or something about Japan you want me to talk about, hit me up in the comments. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.